Welcome to Behind the Warranty, the truth about EV repairs, the truth about Tesla ESA, and what's coming next. Everybody's trying to figure out what is the reality of ownership in EV 2025. With everything that's happened with Tesla, the changes that have happened, they've missed their mark on sales by 100,000 cars this year. And so let's dig into this. First, I want to introduce the team. This is the legends, the OGs. Got Milad Davuti, the COO of Xcare and Xcelerate. We got Dan Sosa, who's looking very good today. And we got KJ Gimbel, CEO and owner of Xcelerate and Xcare. So let's dig into it, gentlemen. Let's have a live discussion for people that really just don't know what news to listen to.
Let's do it.
So this episode's for everybody that owns an EV, those that don't own an EV, and really just want to understand. Let's take a topic like Tesla ESA. What does it really cover? And how are we different? Let's dig into it. This is the live conversation about like what makes us different. But let's talk about Tesla ESA. I mean, how do you see it?
I think it's a great product, right? It's really one of the first forms, or if not the only form, where it's like a manufacturer actually developing these types of products, which is, I think, really pretty cool. I think there's a lot of problems that need to be solved with Tesla service. So regardless of whether or not they have an insurance product or a product that can kind of cover repairs for somebody, is the question of, well, you have to use Tesla. So the dependent value here is, well, how's Tesla service? Right?
Period.
Yeah, just period, right? I mean, if it's good, great. That would make a lot of sense. And if it's bad, then, can you use that other places? So one of the limitations of Tesla ESA is that you have to use Tesla service. It's not like they're going to reimburse you if you go to XYZ shop.
So let's dig into it. Tesla owners like yourself, like us. Challenges, frustrations, yes, with just Tesla, and then the backdrop of thinking of leaning into a Tesla warranty product being solely, all the repairs being solely done at Tesla Repair Service. You've already experienced it when you drop off your cars. You get frustrated, the lack of just human contact. I mean, how do you see it?
I mean, I agree. It's a great product. I guess I question, how long it's going to continue being offered. And the key thought in my mind is it still doesn't address the elephant in the room, which is the people that can actually use it the most, can stand to gain the most from it, still don't technically qualify. And so it's still a very limited scope of what they offer. I do, I like the appeal of it being integrated into the process and all that good stuff. But then, the caveat being you still have to take it to a Tesla service location. And depending on which market you're on, that might be a week or 2 months out, depending on where you're at. And so, I mean, me personally, having the connections that I do, I go out of my way to go to independent repair shops that are specialized in.
Do you think a lot of people do it that way? You think a lot of people, if they say, you know what, I'm just not taking it to Tesla, I have better access, I have better just communication with the independent repair shop local in my community, and I'm just doing that, paying it out of my pocket, especially post, obviously, manufacturer warranty.
I think if they had the option,
they would do it.
I think most would do it. I think given the option, if you have a viable alternative to Tesla, even if it's a slight premium that you pay just to have a better experience, I think most people would go that path.
Unless you haven't, if you haven't used Tesla service, I think everyone would probably default to Tesla service. But then once you've had one of those experiences, you're probably like, get me the hell out of it. That's probably more realistic. So how long have you owned your vehicle for?
Absolutely.
I think that's the first question.
And there's also you have to understand too, like the way the company operates, right? We having worked there for as long as we had, the whole idea behind Tesla service is get the cars out as quickly as possible. Not try to fix every single thing that might be wrong with the car. It's literally get it out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And then hopefully they don't find anything that's wrong with it and bring it right back.
In fact, it goes so far that internally they'll change policy and narrow down what is considered fault or failure just so they don't see more people. Because they can't create traffic in their service centers and they need to get these cars out as quickly as possible. So there's 2 big KPIs: turn time, in and out, or wait time. Mm-hmm. So you have too much traffic of people coming in, you have a lot more wait. So what do? Try to get those people not to come in.
Yeah. Yeah. So is it like, KJ, is it like this, one of the frustrations that people have, again, we're doing a
that, by the way.
They do a good job of that.
They do good.
Yeah.
People have frustration, even, again, non-EV owners, right? They're transitioning to EV, and I don't want to take my vehicle to the dealership because They're going to replace parts. They're not mechanics. They're not going to fix the car. And I could be saving money if they would just repair the part versus just a complete parts replacement. That's just the issue that we're seeing across the board. With EVs, isn't that a concern as well? It's like they're just going to replace parts with Tesla, and with my independent shop, I actually can get some solutions that are not as expensive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's literally what we see. That where we saw it in the early days, it was mainly, parts that were, take a power seat, for example, like it's just the switch on the second row of a Model X, to move the seat back and forth. That was, you would think any other OEM would just be like, oh, you need a new switch.
Yeah.
Some actuator or something, right?
Yeah.
But what we're seeing is that, no, what you need is an entire seat at $3,000.
Yeah.
And so that's still, that's the way that they do it. Like Milad said, headlights. Yeah. We just want to fix the eyelash or something, some LED, part of it. No, we want to do a whole headlight assembly. And so
instead of $50, it'll be $1,500.
Right. And so we saw that at the very beginning. It's still true to this day.
Yep.
And, and I think other direct to consumer service models are going to be the same thing. The reason why is they want consistency in their fix. So they don't really care. The people on, at least on the service side, they look at it like, how do we get people out fast enough? Or that's what they do.
Yeah.
And then when you have customers that are concerned about it outside of warranty, then it doesn't really matter because whether it's Tesla replacing it under warranty or customer paying cash,
Yep.
it's the same response.
Yeah, and it's all about speed, right? It's faster to replace a headlight assembly than it is to go into it and try to replace that bulb because it's an enclosed system, so you actually have to kind of go into it. So there's the counter of this is like, well, yeah, labor hours is more, but it's going to be cheaper for the customer. But from Tesla's perspective, they don't care about what's cheaper for the customer. Their whole thing is faster. What's faster? What gets this car out as quickly as humanly possible?
So Xcare has a different idea about that, but one of your ideas is some local cold daddies. Don't you have some local cold daddies?
To your left. Every time I do one of these, this is the first time, is I choose to have what's called a beer cracking.
Let's do it.
And so today is going to be the inaugural beer cracking.
Guys, I think we're thirsty. Can we have?
I am thirsty.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like rubbing on this koozie like it's
So today this is a local brewery that's here.
Cool.
Right here in McKinney, Tubbs Brewery. We're having a salted lime cerveza. So normally this brewery is used to like doing IPAs, things like that. And they just started doing some of these tubs. These more, drinkable beers. It is 125 degrees outside right now. It feels like.
Yes.
And
cool.
so, these are, it's a little bit easier to drink than your typical IPA. So
Shall we, gentlemen?
we're going to use, this is the inaugural.
Wait, we gotta do it all at the same time.
Hold on. And,
Yep.
and 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that's so.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. Please, by all means, Chen.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Salute. Salute.
So what is Xcare's different take? We were the original OGs on an EV warranty period, and we have a perspective, we have a position, a bent in how we see it. And then ESA came out with Tesla, all former OG Tesla people here. How do we see it differently? Just a whole thought of like protection, financial, just in terms of how we approach the financial aspect of it for customers. I mean, what do we do?
I mean, the point is to give value to customers, right?
Yeah.
With now the new ESA is subscription. So that means, you could pay into it 3 years, you never used it once. You're sorry, right? It's that you're out all the money. And with Xcare, yeah, you have kind of long-term contracts, and there's different varieties. You can do short-term contracts, but you can do things that are more mileage focused. You can do things that are more time focused, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all. We don't understand that some people drive 25,000 miles a year. Some people drive 5,000 miles a year, right?
Yeah.
Well, Tesla's is just cookie cutter, right?
Yep.
Take it or leave it. It is what it is. You see, we don't do that. So we give people options. So optionality, and then also giving people value. So if you don't use it and maybe you sell the car, you can transfer it, you can cancel and get a prorated refund. There's value in what you're actually buying, and also freedom to choose. You can go to a third-party service center. we think and understand and know that there's a rise of independent EV repair facilities that are coming out because most used EVs out there are Teslas. Bottom line, most people who have experienced Tesla service understand how much it sucks, and they want options, optionality. We give them that ability. Now, obviously, you could still use Tesla service, and our pricing is all adjusted for that, and it's meant for that because that's where it started. But as that world changes, you don't have to change providers.
But KJ, Xcare is not just for Tesla. I mean, we compete against ESA. Tesla's not, obviously. So Tesla product, ESA, is exclusive for Teslas. But do we just cover Tesla only?
No, literally anything battery electric. So it's not just Teslas, but we started, looking at Teslas as the true north. And, as a experience, we thought as Tesla owners and former Tesla employees, what is the best way for us to white glove what is currently not white gloved. And that's how we came out with it was, how do we do the things that they're not doing? Won't put funds into, they were going to allocate their funds to production.
Yeah.
And, very little else. They want to build stuff that people want to buy.
Yeah.
And when it comes to servicing the stuff that people want to buy, they want to, basically take your vehicle and get it out as quickly as possible, whether it's a fix or they can't replicate it or they don't take your information and say we found a problem. We look at all of the EVs and say, okay, well, we know that there's usual suspects.
Yeah.
We're gonna clear the line that there's gonna be usual suspects and on all these EVs, and then we're gonna automatically assume that is part of the fix.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to how we treat the customer, it's not about getting you in and out as fast as possible. It's about solving your problem as efficiently as possible and with speed. So we approach it differently, but we are there to accent what Tesla has for service or any other OEM.
Dane, what's the punchline? You're on this every day. You're out in the field every day talking to customers, and they say, "How are you different than ESA?" And there is some meaningful differences as it relates to how we approach it, just in coverage, just punchline it. How are you different than ESA?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part for me is that it's all about the experience that you have. I need your first experience. If it's your first exposure you're having to an electric vehicle, I need that to be a positive one. And so I always approach all the conversations on that, right? It's, hey, we're here to provide you the peace of mind. Let us worry about what might go wrong with the car. Your sole focus is to fit this into your lifestyle, figure out how it works for you, and make it the best experience possible. Let us handle all the nuances related to expensive repairs and dealing with Tesla, all that. We can handle all that. I like to say that we fill in a lot of the customer service gaps that basically Tesla has in a way, and we have the capacity to provide that white glove experience in a way that Tesla just no longer does. Sadly, we came from a time when we were there that we did provide that experience. We went above and beyond for every single customer. As volume started trickling in with the launch of Model 3, that changed radically. And as a result, you saw a lot of really great people pushed out because the culture changed dramatically. And so for us, it's bringing a part of that culture here and then still being able to do the best thing for all of our members, right? Which is just
You're basically saying less touch.
Exactly.
I mean, is that what you're really saying? I mean, you're saying like it's the opposite of Jerry Maguire, right? It's less touch, less people, less human interaction. You feel like at Xgear, one of the key functions is human connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try, call any Tesla number right now and try getting someone on the phone.
That's it.
Yeah. Actually, you should do it right now. Literally, right now. Bet you we will be done with this podcast and you'll still be on hold. Or making the fifth call because it dropped you into the automated message and you're like, why did this just end the call? I thought I was trying to call somebody.
And there's one other thing, like some people are subscriptioned out. Like there, I can tell you that I am. I see them on my credit card statement, and there's just nothing worse than having something that is constantly reminding you that you are in the loop all day, every day. And with Xcare, it's like you have the ability to get a prorated refund for what you don't use. So it's not like you're sitting there getting a constant reminder.
There's not a real value.
There's no value.
If you're obviously all of us have Prime, Netflix, you're getting real value. You trade it, whether you watch a little or you watch a lot.
can
You're
tell you
getting
what-
real value.
I can tell you, I don't watch Disney after Mandalorian. Like when the season's over.
Well, you should.
Oh, you're trading a monthly payment.
There's only so many times I can watch Moana 2 with my kids.
Take that back right now. No, there's not.
But you're trading, to your point, you're trading a monthly subscription for no value unless you use it. And so if you never use it, and since these cars are hyper dependable, you may be just trading cash for air.
Right. And if you're not, and if you're wanting to throw money away, at least, be putting it towards a company that is ready to have your best interest in mind when you go in to have your car serviced, as opposed to the antithesis, which is I'm going to schedule, and if I'm 20 minutes late, they're going to reschedule me for 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to get there for the next month. And by then I'm just going to sit there with my annoyance, whether it's NVH, noise vibration harshness, or an actual, critical problem. Who knows when you're going to get seen? And then there's just the pain of dealing with it, getting a loaner, which they probably don't have. There's getting in a Uber that they may or may not give you credits for.
Yeah.
All of these things that being stuck on the side of the road with a kid in the car seat, and they're like, well, why don't we could tow you?
Send the baby in the Uber.
We can send the baby in the Uber, like all of these things that we know as Tesla owners who just don't work. And so, why would you want to sign up for something like that?
So let me give a quick story, because like the aspect of human intervention in an overly automated process, it cannot be understated. I wish this was a single example.
Restate that, because that was actually profound.
Yeah. So the value of human interaction in an overly automated process
Self-serve.
is really needed, right? And especially when that automated service sucks, right? So like let me give you I wish this was a single example. I really wish it's only happened once.
Yeah.
It's happened at least a dozen times at this point, and I guarantee it, if I say it, I bet you it happened to every other person who's ever owned a Tesla. I'll say this to other EVs, obviously different. They care a little bit more, especially the other like Lucid and Rivian. They're still in that early startup phase that we were doing at Tesla back in the day. But anyway, so I once had, not once, but many times, had like 4 or 5 concerns. And because, they back you up so much, you're like, oh, well, I got a service appointment in 3 weeks for this one problem. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this is, let me add this one.
Sorry.
Let me add this one. Let me add this one. And like, oh, now it's 5 weeks away. God damn it. What's going on? Anyway, so you finally get to your appointment. You drop your car off, all automated, right? Now I think they're doing a little bit better with at least checking you in. But at one point, they didn't even check you in. You just dropped your car off.
Drop the keys in the night box.
Yeah. Just dropped your car off, then they take it. They give you an ETA. And, sometimes you're like, okay, well, I have 4 or 5 concerns. My ETA was 2 days from now or something like that. That's fine. That works. And then all of a sudden the next day, it's like, hey, your car's ready. You get this push notification. Your car's ready to get picked up. And I'm like, oh, great. Faster than expected. What do we used to say at Tesla?
Under promise, over deliver.
Under promise, over deliver. So I was thinking, oh, that's what it is, right? It's great. So wonderful, right? High level of optimism. You start going, you're like, all right, I'm going to go to the service center. I'm going to pick up my car. It's going to be fresh and great. And all the problems are going to be fixed. Get in my car. Every single problem is still there. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? So I'm messaging these people because they weren't around when I picked up my car. It was sitting in the parking lot and I just went to go grab it. What's going on? Everything is still wrong with the car. Like, oh yeah, we couldn't actually fix anything. We didn't have any of the parts. So we're gonna have to reschedule you. It's like, cool. Could have just told me?
Yeah.
You could have just let me know.
Yeah.
I went in with like, oh, y'all are doing amazing. Actually, y'all suck at what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I was just a blind.
Isn't there a lot less liberties that we all give businesses these days? I mean, literally, if you piss me off once or twice, we're
pretty heavy on businesses. But there's
I'm talking about as people. Like if you have a bad experience like that, you tend, the whole brand is diminished.
Yeah,
diluted quite a bit.
There was an approach back in the day that was like build the brand, right? And now there's an approach like the brand's already there. And I really, as a multiple Tesla owner, I've had 14 Teslas. I can tell you the brand is not built, and the brand needs to be built.
Because the brand has technological
That's a huge
advancement.
It's a book.
There's like I've experienced every single iteration of frustration.
Yeah.
And I can tell you flat out that there is gaping holes in the experience that are only solved by humans.
And that's why you did Xcare. I mean, that's really it.
why
I
we
mean,
did it.
punchline, right? I mean,
why we did it.
yeah, absolutely. So like, but let's talk about payments. People love payments. You're right. Your subscription lethargy, but people still like it because they just see it as a monthly payment. It's super cheap. So there's a perception, right? And we're not going to go down the, perception of like, it's cheap, so there's no value. But like, how do we approach economics? Do we have payments or is it just paid in full?
Yeah, of course we have payments, but it's like we're not looking at this as an infinite payment, right?
Right.
Like we want the member to have something tangible.
Yeah,
right?
means to an end.
It's like literally
Yeah.
like what you can stretch out your payments like it with no interest in if you want to do that and leverage your capital somewhere else. But we want there to be something tangible and not just something that, 1 month when you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling it, and then that's when you unsubscribe, and then following week you have a problem, and you're like, shit, why did I do that?
Yeah, man.
And then because that's a real thing. Like
Mhm.
I can't tell you like how many times I've resubscribed to YouTube TV. Like it's
I was about to use the same exact sample.
I exactly know what you're talking about.
like it happens, and it never fails. It's the moment when you do it.
Except in those subscription models, you can't jump back in, right?
Right.
And if you do,
Well, that's the difference.
yeah, that's the difference. You can't, once you're out, and you can't jump back in. If you can jump back in, if you're talking about like other third-party companies, it could be at a different price, right? Like, oh, now it's variable. You want to come back in, it's going to be a greater cost. And they really just manipulate. They just take advantage of the customer.
So before we get off ESA and go to the next subject, but let's talk about like, what are the material differences in coverage, like battery and drive unit?
Yeah, but it's not that important because the ESA can't even take you past the factory battery and drive unit warranty, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like you literally can't.
Yeah, if you look at
it's
the
so
two
short-term.
coverages, like ESA is short this little pie,
Yeah.
and then Xcare is this.
Yes.
Like the coverages, the coverage length, we're in some cases could go out to 200,000 plus miles on coverage.
So we have to cover the battery and drive unit because our terms are long enough to where you're going well past the 8-year, 100K battery and drive unit warranty, while Tesla ESA, that's where the end mark is 8K, 8 years, 100,000.
The used car market in EVs it's growing. The adoption is growing. There's a lot, and but there's a lot of like unknowns. Like, can I buy an EV? Can I buy a used EV rather? What if I'm, or should I prepare? Should I? Am I not prepared for the expense, right? And so that option, for the most part, even still to most non-EV owners, we got to talk to them as well, right? I don't think that's an option for me because I just don't want to expose myself to that risk. So the fact that you want to either keep your Tesla, you want to keep your ID Buzz, you like it, you just feel like you can't keep it because just the liability past manufacturer warranty, that's a myth. You can keep your car. You can buy a used EV. Is that true? With Xcare.
You could buy an EV from anywhere as long as it's within the coverage parameters. And
But I just feel Xcare empowers people to be able to know that that's an option.
Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of limits. Like limitations are not the goal was to put more butts into EV seats when we started it.
Period.
So why would we put a whole lot of limitations on it? Like it would be counterintuitive.
Can you pick your own term?
Yes.
As a consumer, can you pick your own term?
You can pick your own term. You can pick your own term and buy within 2 minutes. As opposed to like kicking through or having to fill out an application or having to like check to see if you're eligible and then purchase one time that way. I mean, don't get me wrong, that part of it is amazing. The fact that you could get instant gratification by pushing on an app and Apple Paying or whatever, that part of it's great. Our goal is to be frictionless on everything from how you acquire it and to how you use it and then offering value within that. But yeah, it's like you could do fairly any vehicle within a certain range. You don't want to use it. We don't work with rental cars. So if you're buying your cars to rent them out, we're not a good option.
Okay.
But if you're using it for a ride share, we're a great option. If you're buying a fleet of cars that operating a fleet, we're a fantastic.
Burp a lot, man. This is heavily carbonated.
It is carbonated
heavily.
It's tasty.
It's probably
Well, if you hear that.
If it's coming through.
That's just maybe I have an empty stomach.
And I did want to bring up one point because I feel like, man, I bring this up a lot when we have discussions with people that are in the market to buy used EV and asking us for recommendations, which you do get a lot, and we're always happy to do. Right? So one thing I want to say, because if you try to call Tesla asking about a used EV, guess what answer you're going to get, right? We'll actually give you some recommendations. And I think when you consider how long we can cover the cars and what the extent of coverage is, maybe before you were only looking at a very small subset of the available pool of cars, but now because you know you can get those covered, maybe you look at a higher mileage example. Maybe now you can go up a couple model years and balance out that cost accordingly because we're adding that.
This is relevant because we all see the amount of people that contact us looking for a used EV. Can you help? As a warranty company,
Yeah.
coming to us for direction. Are they going to get that direction from Tesla on a used EV?
No.
Absolutely not. No, honestly, it'd be hard to say, but if anybody that get from, honestly,
Get up. You're like, we don't have used cars here. We only have new cars.
We only have new cars.
It's just a different ecosystem.
By the way, you have to pay for it before we can deliver it to you.
Yeah, but in reality, it's really interesting because like mileage doesn't really matter a whole lot for electric vehicles. It really just comes down to the warranty period and then potential exposure of liability, right?
Yeah.
Because like ultimately, in a drive unit, right? And most people don't know what these drive units like look like or how they work, but it's literally a single moving part and it's brushless.
Yeah.
I mean, every single one of them.
Yeah.
There's no lubrication inside of a drive unit, right? It's just this thing that moves, and the battery doesn't have moving parts inside of a battery. It's
in the future, we got to talk more about like the drive units, the battery, and what's the difference from all the manufacturers, right? Now, I mean, just understanding it, like, is there any manufacturer, model, or year that's bad? You know what I mean? I mean, we don't have to dig into it now. Maybe we can, but is all things created equal? That's the biggest question, right? Do I have to limit myself to Tesla if I don't want to, for whatever reason?
Post 2016, yeah, generally, I would say,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
except Model X.
Yeah, except Model X.
Except Model X. Don't.
Well, not as far as the battery and drive unit goes. It's everything else in the car will break. The battery and drive unit will still probably be fine.
Fair point.
Everything else will
Fair
break.
point.
But yeah, I mean, like the only thing would just be like, don't get a Nissan Leaf because
That's a personal pain to Dan. So
shit. But like, they are very, very simple. I used to describe it as like an electric toothbrush. I mean, in the most simplistic way, is if you didn't have an electric toothbrush, you didn't use it for 10 years, popping the battery in there, it'd probably still work. Right? I mean, it's like it. And if you have driven some really high mileage EVs, it's really interesting because they drive like new cars. They really do. There's not much of a difference between does it have 50 miles or does it have 250,000 miles? They really drive, pretty much the same. Because there's, you don't have this thing that has like hundreds of moving parts or thousands of moving parts with the transmission, things that can shift weird, hesitation, jerkiness.
let's talk about that. So like, let's talk about what's it really like to own EV. Again, we're talking to EV owners, but we're talking to non-EV owners, but not the showroom, but you own 14 of these. Like, has the experience evolved in those 14 experiences? Is it better today in 2025?
Oh, yeah.
Bring someone, like, the level of confidence, like, is there a line of demarcation? Like you said, 2016, is there something now like I should be looking at? What? I mean, how do I get comfortable with this? Because it's still, for most people, I mean, I just had a personal conversation with my brother and his wife because he's moving down to Lake Whitney, works in Fort Worth, and never even knew there was an opportunity for FSD. And the biggest concern she has is him going back and forth in an hour and a half each way to work every night. Just the liability of risk, right? Like, what's it like to own an EV in 2025? And how are you looking into that leading into the future? Does that mean like, it's cool, but I need to be learning it? We all lean into new tech. The new iPhone coming out, I shouldn't buy a new used one, right? I need to wait until till the new one comes out, till the new Samsung comes out. Is that the same thing for EVs? I mean, how should people see it today?
I mean, I look at it like the technology is unreal right now. However, the risk is heavy. Like, it's such a volatile market. Like the value of these cars are, and it's different. Like growing up in the auto business, like I've seen depreciation, and I've seen in 2008 when gas was at $5 a gallon, and you saw Escalades and Tahoes just take a bath, on valuations. This is something different. This is something that nobody's ever seen, where the market has been so influenced in so many different ways to suppress values of EVs, whether it's whether it's the tax credit that immediately drops the value, or it's just the fact that when you trade in through Tesla, they don't give you shit for your car, or it's the super indies that are trying to capitalize on that, and then the amount of people that are pissed off that are getting out of their Teslas,
Yeah.
whatever. But being understanding of what the variables are in the market, like for me, I love the technology. I love being that, that technology hopper. I like seeing, when hardware 4 became available, I was like one of the first ones to want to be on it.
Yeah.
But it was right now, I can't look at a new car the same way. Like I used to be able to look at a new car and be like, wow, there's enough there for me to understand that there, I'm going to lose 20%, driving off the lot, like the old adage, right?
Always.
But now it's like, man, you're getting there. It's not like there's a small amount of people that have negative equity in their Model 3s and Model Ys. There is like 80% of drivers.
Is that true for all cars though?
No, not as true as this. I mean,
Not as true as that.
no, I mean, this is something that was avoidable. This was something that, Tesla, is Elon's on the record for saying that these cars are going to appreciate. And you had a lot of people that
So it's
bought
really
them.
misaligned expectation. I'm just saying, I'm not just, my thought is that how many people bought, COVID, right? We're 2020, 2021, MSRP plus, buried.
Man,
right?
I got a good friend that bought a Model 3 Performance for $67,000.
Ouch.
Can you imagine what that feels like right now? It's like, and on top of that, he loves the car.
Yeah.
So, but can you imagine that range of emotions that you go through though? It's like financially, it's like one of the worst choices you can make. I think about all of the Teslas that I've owned and thought, if I just would have put that money in the stock market and bought Tesla, like I'm the biggest dumbass on the planet for, but I wanted to try it out. I wanted to be an ambassador, and I'm probably like a lot of people out there.
I mean, I do think that most people that bought cars during COVID are in negative equity situations.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think because we had a semiconductor shortage, it didn't matter.
What's affecting used car sales across the marketplace is down because people can't trade in.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean,
my point is,
What I'm saying is supply is down.
yeah,
my
because
point
of
is
trades.
like early adopters knew what they were getting into, right?
Yeah.
They were like, we want to, buy this $120,000 car because we want to see you succeed as a company. 30 people that could barely afford Model 3s that are now really hurting because of the decision that they made. That's a different story. And I think that's, when you're starting to compare Model 3s against like the ICE equivalents, that's why people look at the ICE equivalents and be like, well, it's a little bit more stable of a purchase, which sucks because it's so much better of a car.
but most people buy used cars. So in the same
Most people
token, right? Let's just assume that everything you said is true. I mean, I disagree with some of the things, but let's just assume that everything you said is true. That just means that it's more attractive to buy a used vehicle, right? It's more opportune to buy a used car than it is a new car because like I would argue the biggest
True for the person selling the used car.
sure, but I'm talking about the buyer, the person buying the used car.
The theory of buying used cars, you're
buying it post appreciation.
post appreciation.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
But like,
intent.
I would argue that the most bang for your buck, the most car you can buy for the dollar are used EVs. And it's not just Tesla. Go buy a Porsche Taycan. So there's two examples. Right? The Porsche Taycan. You can get a 4S Taycan that's 2023, which I would argue get one at least 2022. So let's use 23 as an example. My brother-in-law and my sister's trying to get one right now, so I'm like actually looking at these right now. But $60,000, $70,000, 75 grand, that was like 130, 140 sticker and something like that. So like, do we actually think that that's going to keep going down? Maybe 10, right? I mean, like,
that's just the depreciation curve.
Sure.
There is a level.
Yeah,
but then they have an
People-
F-150 Lightning.
People taking the haircut though. That's what I'm.
Well, somebody, yeah,
Point.
the trade. But if you're on the side of the volleying zero, then you're the loser.
That also,
Support
but
the
look
entire
at
market.
but look at every single person who bought a C8 Corvette during COVID for over $100,000 sticker, right? I mean, it's the same exact thing. So it's not EVs are not in its own plateau, in its own little podium right here, right?
For dealers they are. For dealers that are buying them on in auctions they are.
Okay, well, they're buying at used vehicles then, or used sales.
Right, I
So
understand.
they're not the ones taking the haircut.
But the people that are adopting these cars are the ones that are taking the haircut.
Sellers are always going to be lost, right? I mean,
But the problem is that you don't have confidence to buy the new cars, and therefore the supply of the used cars eventually will dry up, right?
100%.
And
That is a point.
And that's where we're talking about
That further boosts the values of new cars.
Well, you're doing it two ways, right? You're talking about socioeconomics, right? Model 3Y when they came in.
overall consumer confidence is where
Is down.
the issue.
In that scenario, if most used vehicles start drying up, then the value of new cars goes higher, right? I mean,
No, if there's a demand issue at the same time, that's not the case. It just dries up and it fizzles. I mean, we've seen it. Scion was a perfect example.
Yeah.
Scion came out of the gate
Yeah.
with a bunch of sales, and where's it now? And so it's like that was Toyota's approach towards it. And eventually when demand dries up, because all of the best buys, the used cars have been acquired, and people aren't trading in to get the new cars because they know they're going to get a clip the moment that they sign up for this. That's the reason why Tesla's lease penetration is still at sub 10%. They don't have. I mean, their lease deal is the most attractive lease on the planet. I mean,
On the personal lease.
and there's no conversion. It's because people don't look at these cars and say, okay, well, I want to just have the lowest payment possible, and I'll roll into the car with confidence, and I'm going to just select this one right here. They look at it and say, okay, well, I've got this, and then everything else that I have to add to it, and then is this really enough for me to move forward? And if your lease penetration at a $299 Model 3 payment isn't enough to move you forward, there's a demand problem.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. And that's a backdrop of just the overall economics going on in the U.S. today.
yeah, and I think a lot of vehicles, I mean, a lot of cars are in the same exact.
It's crazy because you think about, like, I'm going off on a tangent here, but like Hummer went out of business, not because they weren't dependable,
Yeah.
because mileage, right?
Right.
So now you have mileage, non-issue, super affordable, and you still have an issue. It's just the overall economic climate.
I think what it is the overall brand building. Like you don't have a PR team. You just now started advertising a little bit, and you still don't want to advertise a lot, but you just want to put some kittens out there in a car to show that you can advertise appropriately, when really what you should be doing is just showing the technology in use.
Is the punchline, though, just the overall warm blanket to everything you just said and everything we talked about? TCO. I mean, honest.
TCO is everything.
I mean, do you just think back?
Total cost of ownership.
Total cost of ownership, right? It's just like,
And
I comfort myself because I don't have oil changes. I don't have a maintenance schedule. I don't have any exposure for, break.
That's the selling factor of EVs in general.
Period, right?
Yeah.
But do you think people lose sight of that? I mean, honestly, they do. They just
car
for car.
Yeah, because it
Look,
sounds
depreciation,
it does sound
depreciation.
too good to be true, right? And even even people who buy EVs in that first year, you still don't even understand it. It's like when you go 3, 4, 5 years into ownership, you're like, something seems wrong. I haven't done anything to this car, and then you start thinking like, but there's nothing for me to do.
Yeah.
So that honestly happens a few years into EV.
And I've heard you say this. I've heard all of you say this. It's not battery fail. Although that's the number one, like, non-EV owner concern. It's like, yeah, what happens when that battery fail? Everyone's worried about major medical, right? But you said, and you've said it many times, that by and large, these batteries don't fail.
Yeah, not enough to where people are like should be like overly concerned about it. I mean, we don't see that.
That's why it's like our least expensive product.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, our battery and drive unit product standalone is significantally cheaper.
Yeah.
And if these batteries are failing, it would be significantly more expensive, right? So it's
About how to underwrite it, right? Like how do you underwrite something that has super low frequency, high severity? The severity, the cost of the batteries are coming down. When we first started battery and drive unit coverage, they were in the 20s, and I mean, you look at Escalade battery packs, it's like that's enough to make anybody nervous. But that is how, you have to underwrite it, and you have to find a way to make making an educated guess at what is going to be the overall exposure to the portfolio. And what we see is the frequency is
Very low.
fairly low, and but at the same time, these people are like, it's critical. The stress is high. The anxiety's there. We had an instant where we had a lady that was driving the wheels off of her car, and she was in service, needed a replacement on, I think it was her drive units, and was it a battery pack as well? The one here in Dallas,
Battery pack.
and it was, I mean, she would have been totally hosed, like in a really critical moment in her life.
Yeah, we are seeing less than a single % of failure for batteries. I mean, it's not very frequent. It doesn't happen very often, and they're getting significantly cheaper. I mean, using the GM example, yeah, it's costly right now, but they just partner with Redwood Materials, right? So as they go out, they go back into recycling, and there's a closed loop. So they're getting more supply from the old component, which drives down the remanufactured component, right?
So 14 Teslas you've owned. You've all owned multiple Teslas. Probably have the best data on the country on claims and knowing what fails at a model, at a trim, year over year. Do you still buy it?
Yes.
All day.
Every single.
Because the brand is the technology. It's not customer experience.
It's nothing else. It's not
It's literally nothing. Yeah. I'm not driving a Cybertruck as a statement or something like that. That's stupid, right?
Yeah.
It's just the most technically advanced vehicle on the planet, period. I mean, it just is, right? And you have to look at the guts. You have to see it. You have to understand the uniqueness. And yeah, is there any other big truck, full-size truck or SUV that has anything close to that and how that contributes to the driving style? No, period. There's not another example out there. It just flat out does not exist. And then you drive another one that's like an Escalade IQ, like what you and I drove when you and I drove.
Yep.
And all I kept thinking is, this is a boat. Like this is a straight up boat.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I never drove a Cybertruck, this would probably be really appealing. But this is a newer car, and it seems like 10 years older. So what is going on, right? So why would I buy a brand new vehicle that's like almost seems like a decade older than the car that I'm driving right now that's a year older than this one?
And there's a lot of other buying motives to add to that. Like, my wife is all about the safety aspect of it. She's in emergency preparedness and risk mitigation, and she just likes the Model X purely because of safety. And so there's all kinds of motivations on why people continuously go back. Driver fatigue is a big one. I mean, you just experienced that on the way here from Houston, having not driven your Tesla.
Hate my life.
Like,
You never get
like I can't
That meaningfully different.
I can't think of anything
Oh, yeah.
worse, like, as a commuter, like going from what we experienced day to day to going back in time.
Not having full self-driving is a huge deal breaker for me. I don't think I can do it anymore.
Not because you're lazy.
No, it's not because I'm lazy. It's because it's just that much more peaceful. I mean, I can go I drove here. It took me 3.5 hours. I didn't actually, and I calculated this. I drove less than a single mile with my hands, right? And it's like, I just sat in the car. I ate a burrito.
What else can you do that with right now?
Yeah.
Right now, what else can you trust that will do that?
And I say it's like having your own personal train, right? Like, I literally ate food, a burrito with sauce, pouring on my burrito, just looking at this. I was like, is the car going? Yeah, it's still going. It's just going.
And if you're in any other car and I see that next to you, I am freaking out.
So what's the punchline? You just drove up here in a nice vehicle, right? And you said brutal. What's the punchline?
My back hurts. I had to do way too much. And it's funny. I just had this conversation yesterday with a customer called in, and they were looking at used EVs and all this stuff. She was explaining to me about full self-driving. He's like, I really don't understand the point. Like, if you still have to keep your eyes on it, what's the point? Then I broke it down to her, like, yeah, okay, cool.
It's a fair question.
You do still have to be mindful of what it's doing, but you are basically relinquishing the bulk of the driving to the car. You're just confirming that what it's doing aligns with what you would do in that scenario, and then take over if it does something funky, right? That's really the only thing. What that does for you when you experience that on a long trip, it's life-changing. I'll tell you, I despise that I had to drive up here, and it's awful. Like I said, my back hurts. I was exhausted getting here. Every little thing and every little noise in it, and I'm just trying to get away from traffic. Whereas when you have autopilot, I mean, you have the prescience of a supercomputer, 8 cameras, high definition. You're telling me that's not going to improve the overall driving experience now that you don't have to worry about, the forward collision and all the, like, you don't have to do all this minutia of holding all
I have a neighbor who drives a Model Y. He's a pilot. I live in Colorado. And I'm like, here's the deal. So you go to work, you autopilot to and from where you're going. You get in your car in the airport, you autopilot home. Are you just lazy? Or he said, are you just lazy? He said, no, man. I mean, it's the most efficient way to drive. So you're a dad.
Yes, sir.
Would you drive across the country on a family trip, FSD?
I would actually counter that and say I wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah.
A long distance road trip without it, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been in too many scenarios. I drive a lot I've driven a lot throughout my entire life. I've been in too many scary scenarios where like microsleep is a real thing. You're just exhausted, and then next thing you know, like you literally fall asleep at the wheel. It's one of the scariest things that ever happened to me. I mean, Mo's had this experience a couple of times himself, and like it is life-saving. I don't think it is one of the most underappreciated aspects of these cars, I think.
So we're at the conference and someone challenges you with a morality question. It's like, you're in full self-driving. It sees a deer, it sees a child. Which one does the car pick?
Well, which one do you pick?
Hey, I mean, that was his gotcha question, right? He's like, it's just not there. That's dangerous to be thinking that you could entrust your family, or not even just your family, but the lives and wellness and beings of others with technology. That's irresponsible. Do you see it differently?
Yeah, of course I see it differently. I mean, are you gonna? I mean, the question to counter that is, who has a better compute process, a computer or your brain? Are you really egotistical enough to think that you are smarter than
Reload.
actual compute, like from a computer?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a level of insanity, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, I mean, the long distance driving, it's the mental fatigue is the big thing. Yeah, it's the mental fatigue. That's the part that's a big game changer. And it's just you don't realize how much you're thinking while you're driving until you're no longer driving and not thinking about driving anymore. You're just staring at the road. And it's not just Tesla. Right? You have the Super Cruises, the Blue Cruise for Ford, Super Cruise, the GM, and they're great. They're great products. They're great stepping stones. If there's hands-free driving, you are heavily limited.
Crack a beer
on
too.
You're heavily limited on what roads you can use it on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not.
So you just feel like it's ignorance? I mean, just is the punchline just ignorance? Or even like personally, they're just
a lack of
technology in their life.
It's just a lack of education. I think that's really what it boils down to. Yeah, it's just a lack of education and too much media fanfare around all the negative aspects of it, and not enough people actually focusing on
And not enough family showing.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Right.
I had so many of my buddies that
blows my mind.
were F-250 diesel owners, right? And I've been preaching to them for years that you don't do anything with this truck other than go to the grocery store. Lift it. And so like, and they're like, yeah, I get it. But I could take this truck to Colorado when we go snowboarding. I could do all these things with it. And I'm like, yeah, what about the other 98% of the time?
Yeah.
And they've been in my cars with me, and they're like, oh, this is great. It's fast. I let them drive it. They're great. It took them owning one to understand it. And then at that point, they were helping their parents get them because it was better. FSD was better for their dad driving that gets fatigued driving from Oklahoma to Dallas and back and forth to his treatments and whatnot. It was the storytelling that's not being told.
There's so many lifestyle applications, right? I mean, from across the board, medical, special needs, just safety in terms of weather. Like I live in Colorado, right? Is that the better car to drive through the mountains?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. And you know what I mean? No, versus
old climb.
We know the difference of like we know it. We're vehicle, we're motorheads, right? So Quattro, Subaru, Audi Quattro, Subaru.
Oh my God,
all-wheel drive in terms of just the intuitiveness versus all-wheel drive all the time Toyota. What's the difference? And then you talk about a Tesla, and is it a different story? Because there's just the thought process. I'm scared to drive this thing.
Every electric vehicle. So I grew up my entire life in the South. I've never seen snow until I was 24 years old. I moved to Chicago.
Is it scary? This is scary.
Scared me? Yeah, it scared me a little bit. What really scared me was because I moved there in March, which it was snowing because it's Chicago. This sucks. Beautiful city. Chicago's awesome.
Very wet.
Snowing in March and April is miserable, especially if you've been there
Oh yes.
since October 31st when it typically snows on Halloween. Anyway, so
No,
yeah,
6 months winter.
God. But it was the following winter, right? I've never driven in snow before. So I had to learn how to drive in snow.
Yep.
And so I had a good friend who actually took me in 2 different cars. He goes, all right, you're going to drive a gas car, and then I'm going to give you a Model S. And we're going to do them back to back. This is a real story. I've never driven in snow before my entire life, okay?
Yeah.
So I drive this gas car. I am scared shitless. I am just moving we went in an empty parking lot with a bunch of snow everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just spinning around, right? Like, I'm just like, how does someone control this? This is insane.
Yep.
My sister lived in Philly for 10 years. She got into so many accidents. And so I'm just like, how do people control this? It's crazy. It's like you have to kind of control the uncontrollable, right?
I don't know.
You kind of have to like feel it, you know.
Shit.
Yeah, like you're gonna slide, it's like you kind of have to gauge it.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, now let's jump in the Model S. And I'm sitting here like just like
Full
doing
confidence.
full confidence, doing U-turns. I'm not
amazing.
flipping at all. And then you start realizing why. What's the difference?
Yeah.
100% torque at 0 RPM also means 30% torque at 0 RPM. 20% torque at 0
That's
RPM.
amazing.
60% torque at 0 RPM. There's no transmission. You're not trying to even out
No
the torque
trans-
curve in some middle, then you go overpower the road. Like that stuff doesn't exist.
Yeah.
The precision is something that is amazing. That's why the 0 to 60 times are so ungodly incredible. Right?
The weight help.
The weight does help in how it's centered, but it's mostly about it's mostly about just the ability to output the exact amount of torque it needs to not overpower the road, which is something that the gas car can't do.
That's it. That's driver contingent. And insurance companies live off the opposite, right? So
Which is the reason why EVs are more popular in northern climates than anywhere else.
what about battery truck? What's the issue, right? It's too cold. I live in a too hot of a climate, Texas. I live in too cold of a climate, Boston.
Yeah,
I can't have an EV because it's going to either blow up or
you definitely get less range. And now I would say this: older EVs are this is where technology changes have shifted dramatically, right? Older cars, if you had a it was 2014 whenever I moved to Chicago, so it's like 2014, 2015. Yeah, they didn't have heat pumps yet. That wasn't a thing. Wasn't invented quite yet. So kind of had this traditional HVAC system in a way. The heater core really took up a lot of energy. So you had a lot less range, right?
Yeah.
You just had a lot less range. You still have less range now. It's just not as bad because now you have heat pumps. They're way more efficient. It doesn't consume a significant amount of energy in order to heat up the car and the battery in order to do what it needs to do. So if you live in northern climates, just make sure you get an EV with a heat pump. Be very particular about that because not all EVs have heat pumps.
Yep.
And some of the newer EVs that are non-Tesla, it's like, the heat pump in the F-150 was just announced, I think, this year.
Why do you think it's so broad stroked in EV? Because like nobody would judge a current iPhone edition on, the original iPod, right?
Right.
Or the Apple, if you had version 2, no one would say like you expect and you lean into the fact that with logic that, well, I'm sure the technology, has improved, but people don't do that all the time with EVs. If they've read about it or thought about it on the early days, they haven't evolved unless they're in new tech in it every day. They haven't really leaned into the new tech.
With phones, people weren't trained, right?
Yeah.
Like, they weren't trained to think something when phones came out. Like,
That's true.
you know what I mean? Like you saw a
That's
phone
neat.
and you're like, this is a brick, and it got smaller. That's great. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it became flat, and then it flipped for a while,
Yep.
and then it became what it is now.
What will it be? 60?
But nobody was trained on what to like or what were polarized to it.
Polarized.
But with EVs, so many people grew up, thinking that, listen, it's oil and gas and that's the way it's going to be. And we're, people like tinkering on cars. How many times did you hear, people hating that they couldn't work on their cars anymore? I mean, when it started going to that and manufacturers started making it more difficult to work on cars, you had every single good old boy going, what the hell? I don't want to buy that because I can't work on it. And then, then it became more so, but it was just this whole history of being ingrained in you to like something specific. Like, I don't remember. There's probably a small group of El Camino fanboys out there, but it wasn't like back in the day we're like, I fucking love my El Camino.
Right,
You know,
sure.
like I gotta have my
Yeah.
El Camino.
I'll compare. You mentioned smartphones, right? So let's just stay on that for a quick second.
Yeah.
Because I would actually compare it to. This might be an interesting take, an interesting conversation. Is do you have a keyboard on your phone, or are you using the keyboard on the screen? Do you remember when that happened?
Dude.
I was actually one of the jackasses who wanted the keyboard. I did not want my keyboard on the screen.
Give me my stylus, man.
I had a G1, the first Android. I got an Android.
If I lose my stylus, I lose my life.
That's it.
Right.
It's true.
And now you got 5 of them. That's the
Love my Barry. That thing was just indestructible.
But that was a big deal,
Yeah.
right? And so you had legacy corporations like Wall Street were the last people to move out of BlackBerry, right? Well, one BBM was a totally different thing, and I think that's amazing technology that we've never really been able to replicate since that for whatever fucking
What's
reason.
BBM?
BlackBerry Messenger.
BlackBerry Messenger. I'm not gonna go really
Watch
into
the BlackBerry.
It's really
You'll understand.
like if this was a message, they like folded it, so you could be no service at all and still send a message. It's amazing, really, really cool. I also used to work for BlackBerry this day, so it's one of the best messaging services. It really is. It really is. Anyway, and I think Jack Dorsey is actually remaking kind of a new BBM.
Yeah, he is.
Without internet.
Actually, yeah.
Super cool.
Blockchain tech.
Using blockchain Bluetooth as well. Like long distance was
Super crazy.
This is not the topic. Anyway.
So I think I don't want to interrupt your thought, but I'm thinking about Brian Regan when he said that the military came up with walkie-talkies, and the fact that how the hell did military come up with that name? Like, I'm walkie and I'm talkie, general. I don't know what to call it. I'm walkie and I'm talkie. You know, that's the official name of this technology is walkie-talkie.
But yeah, so like the move from having a keyboard on your phone to not having the keyboard on your phone, a physical keyboard, right? And that took a lot of people many years, right? That wasn't like a overnight thing. It took a while.
And if they moved to it, it had to click. If it went to the virtual,
it had to have some sort of pad palette. It needed to be some sort of like evolutionary kind of a medium or like a step ladder. So, but I compare the EV thing to AI. I have so many conversations with people about AI right now, which is like, oh yeah, it hallucinates all the time, like gives you wrong information. When was the last time you used it? Like 3 months ago. I was like, bro, that's a long time ago. Like if you used one, like the last time you used it was 3 months ago, you have no idea where it is right now.
Yep.
You have no clue. And like, that's the reality.
Yep.
You have to start using it. So the moral of the story is get up off your ass and try something new.
Yep.
And that's approved by Mila Dovedy. That message. So like, just try something new and keep trying it because it's just going to get better because everyone around you is going to keep using it. And if you stop using it.
Let's talk about the Cybertrucks. You guys both on it. Is it the narrative out there is it's a huge failure? Is it a failure?
No, this is so.
Dude, I hope so. I hope you'll keep thinking it, actually, to be honest, like
So weird.
because I don't understand.
Tesla's overstocked. That's a failure.
I completely get it. I don't know how you could fail at marketing any more than what Tesla did. It's the worst. It's the worst approach to the best vehicle ever created. I honestly feel like that is where they went wrong was making this thing seem like it was the most reasonably cost, highly efficient, and everybody can own one. No, or if you really want to own the baddest one, then you can have that too. And they literally shit on all of their reservation holders. And then on top of that, you deliver it and you get all of these people to buy in, and then you say foundation is about to be gone, but it never really went. it not for a long time.
It took a while. But
hold on, let me finish my thought. Marketing a vehicle, as important as that vehicle is to everything, because it truly is the best vehicle ever built. I will go on record saying I've driven hundreds of cars, and this is the best car ever built, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For you to have that many reservations, to have that many people that are interested, even though it's hideous as fuck, and I know because I drive one how hideous it is.
I like it.
I love
I think it's hideous.
but I love it.
I think it was.
I don't care what it looks like. It's how it drives. It's how it feels on the inside.
Yeah.
My kids, when I first got it, they thought we were in Darth Vader's spaceship. Like, it was the coolest thing ever.
Not a bad place to be.
But when it comes down to like how they lay things out, you know what? You're the smartest company in the world making dumbass decisions.
Yeah.
And why don't you just listen to your people and realize and come clean on a lot of it? Like, you don't have to. You can miss your expectations. You can also admit that you have fault and still have people back you up. But the moment you try to assume everybody's a fucking idiot and then you push this on people, you're going to get rejected every single time. And everybody that I know that I've helped into a Cybertruck, meaning that I've shown them the way.
Yeah.
They've looked. I asked them about it later on, and they all say the same thing: best car ever built.
Wow.
I love it so much. I don't want to drive anything else. But I feel like in order for it to be a success, from this point forward, they have to find something better than what they're putting out there about it, and they have to find
What's better? What's that mean? What define better?
So right now,
I think what he's talking-
right now they're pushing a lot of this mil spec stuff, right? They're putting out there for the military to test and all of that,
Yeah.
and they're putting out these, there's companies out there that have been testing these things out for ballistics for a long time, but now, and Tesla didn't want to have, or none of the other people that are affiliated with Tesla wanted to have any of that stuff out there. Now they're showing that, it could take a 45, it could take a Tommy gun, it could take all of this. They're pushing it out there as, this is a rugged vehicle for military use, and they're trying to make it the next Humvee, right?
Yeah.
Because that truly is when you think of the people that are buying this truck, they're going to, once the military buys in, then all the hard asses go, that's a badass truck.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
And when they're upfitted, tactical,
they look fucking dope.
So good.
They look dope.
Can I give a hot take on this?
Yeah, I have also a hot take.
Yeah, because I called this early on. I never thought they would have enough demand for the manufacturing capacity that they were planning for. Much for the primary reason in my mind was they pulled the whole hey, they overpromised and underdelivered basically, right? They promised us a truck that was sub 50,000 that was going to get all these great specs, all this great performance, and instead we got half of that for twice the cost. So that immediately, you just killed a bunch of those initial reservation holders. And then to boot, to KJ's point, they've done a really poor job of emphasizing what it is about the vehicle itself that is so radical. What was the last major innovation that we've seen in the car industry before Tesla entered the market? When was the last time anybody actually thought that, hey, 12-volt system is a 100-year-old technology? We should probably not do 12 volts when we have 15 screens we need to power in the car.
How many people talk shit about it? Like the moment that they announced it, how many people were talking shit about it, and they got silenced immediately? Like, it was
because the tech is amazing, and that's the thing. I will agree, the technology is amazing. I think they chose the wrong platform. I feel like that same tech released in the S and X would have been a much better strategic play from a business perspective. Yeah. And then you manufacture the Cybertruck for specialized solutions at a much lower volume as an experiment, as a test bed. Yeah, that was my opinion on it. I never thought there was going to be enough demand. If nothing else, the design itself, regardless of what you think about it, for the majority of the public, is way too polarizing, man. It is just way too polarizing a design.
A lot of people said that about the step side truck. Remember, it was the fleet side. Like, fleet side was like as soon as they saw the step side, it was like, oh no,
it's not gonna work. You shorten the bed, you shorten the box.
It's not gonna work, and it's just people need to come off their high horses and realize that what we're looking at is. While I think it's ugly today, it may be the standard.
It's general, sure,
right?
And at $50,000, I was a buyer myself. Even as ugly as it looked, I was a buyer at $50,000. But then as soon as you pull the wool over my eyes, and now all of a sudden it's twice the cost, and I'm not getting anywhere near what we were originally promised. That all of a sudden,
I definitely think completely differently on this. I think the only metric that you can look at to identify it as a failure is reservations versus deliveries, right? And I'll concede that, right? That's it. Right, that's it. That's literally the only thing you can point to and say that is the failure. But to say this is the biggest flop in automotive history, which I've heard people say, or to say it's like a failure of an EV, or the biggest EV truck failure, it is literally the best-selling electric vehicle truck in the market.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's
That's not.
But hey, let's not talk about that because it's a failure, right? It's not. But no. Let's not talk about it.
Is it just over manufacturing? Is it just that they over manufacture that they're able to sales volume?
If you're gonna
Is it just over?
if you're gonna swing for the fences, you swing for the entire truck market. You don't swing for I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna put something out there that's gonna redefine. Like if your goal for your investors is to
It's just price point. It's price point. F-150.
It is.
F-150 XLT is what? It get $2,000 MSRP.
And the car and the truck is definitely too expensive. Now, but us
The macro change in there.
really have to be cognizant of the context of when that information was released, what happened in the middle time. Yeah. Like everything,
Meaningful time.
everything changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
could anyone foresee when the specs of the Cybertruck came out? Like,
Right.
yeah, we're gonna have a global pandemic, we're gonna have all these supply chain shortages, uncontrollable inflation, economic failures of all these different countries, emerging markets internationally will all start failing. I mean, come on, like no one could have seen that.
Yeah.
That's and if you say you could see it, you're an idiot, right? You're just making shit up.
Yeah.
But like that's not true. So yes, things changed. Yes, the truck is definitely way more expensive than it was originally planned to be. Yes, it does not have the range that was originally said to be. And like all that's true, but it's still the best selling EV truck in the entire industry.
Yeah, but it's not so much about the truck. It's about what they've done with the truck. Like what is truly like the systems that they've created that are revolutionary. That 4-wheel steer, that drive-by-wire,
It's crazy.
everything that they put into that. If you replicate that on everything, it's dunzo.
Yeah.
Dunzo. Like
Yeah.
You probably don't need to do it on Model 3.
not on Model 3,
Yeah.
obviously, but like if you're
Anything with a wheelbase.
anything with a
Yeah.
wheelbase, yeah.
Like Model S, Model S.
Yoke with no progressive steering. That's literally, in my mind, makes no fucking sense.
And we had yokes, and we both immediately got steering wheel because they sucked.
I mean, it was terrible. But had you had this tech in the Model S with a yoke, that would have worked wonderfully. That would have been amazing, right? Because, and it's not like they invented rear wheel steer. The EQS has rear wheel steer. It is actually very great.
But it's the efficiency of
No, I mean, actually, the EQS actually works really well. It's the GM ones.
no. I'm just saying the drive-by-wire.
Yeah.
Combined with the rear
Yes.
steer.
Yeah, for sure. And like, that's a huge change. And that is definitely undershot. I mean, they don't market, right? So I'm not going to sit here, they failed at marketing, because that would imply that they have marketing.
They do now.
The kittens. They just shake kittens.
Now
They're starting to do so.
So, but I wouldn't, like,
They are now starting to see much.
they're now starting to,
Kittens in the car, like
they're now starting to do marketing.
imagine just like just holding the kitten in the car. Like
But they're now starting to do marketing. And previously they didn't. So therefore they didn't fail at something they never actually tried because they didn't do it. Now they are starting to do it. We will see what happens from here to determine if it's a success or failure. But they weren't doing marketing. So they couldn't have one or
so that's that. I mean, we're getting a little bit off here, but you have the person that owns a social platform that is now selling advertising, right? And then you have a company that was anti-advertising that he also owns. Or is large owner of.
Yeah.
And so you have two different lanes here. I don't understand why the marketing hasn't been ramped up like on the Tesla side way more than it is right now. When you're selling cars, I could tell you I could see an Eagle in a Ram commercial every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's literally you turn on any sports channel, and it's America and the Eagle and a Ram.
Yeah.
But I manufactured in Mexico. Right. But with Tesla, it's like they're marketing towards not people on TV, not people on radio, not people on print. They obviously that stuff is consumed way differently and much less nowadays. But they're marketing towards their only channels that they really have a lot of access to, and a lot of people aren't on those channels that are that are at the bottom of the funnel. Like they're not shopping for a car on X. They're not shopping for a car on Facebook or Instagram. That they're shopping when they're thinking about a car, they're sitting there on their ass having a beer, watching a game, or they're making dinner, or they're doing something else while something's on, and it gets them thinking. Right. So traditional advertising works, and for a lot of these OEMs, and they still do it to
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's an example of a successful electric vehicle that has been successful due to its marketing?
That's a good question. I would say ID Buzz.
That was going
Really? Because that's a flop right now. I mean,
Well, I mean, as far as the successful, as far as the success,
and the range is really low.
I mean, as far as being, I consider a marketing initiative as being something that's engaging enough to give me pause for further evaluation. When I saw the ID Buzz marketing campaigns, I thought they were well thought out. I thought they
so here are the biggest ones that I can think of that spent tons of money on marketing, haven't really moved the needle at all. You have BMW and Mercedes Super Bowl commercials last like 3 years, right? Huge Super Bowl commercials. Before that was Audi, right? No, they don't have great sales. Recently, news as of last week, Lucid just bought Timothée Chalamet. They straight up bought him, right? And they have like a long-term agreement.
You mean Saudi?
Yes. Yeah. But we don't talk. But seriously, right? They just bought. So they spent a shit ton on marketing, right? Has it really helped them? Rivian. Have you seen Happy Gilmore 2? You can see Rivian all over the place. Wow. Right? They've also marketed a lot.
they need to fire their marketing departments. They need to do.
But I'm saying that like there is no successful example that you can point to.
Well, but you're the most successful company in the world right now, like for the most part.
I just think like price.
You've highlighted the challenge earlier, though, right? When we were talking about the full self-driving piece, it takes somebody actually experiencing. Yeah, you have to take it home.
That's unlow.
What was the largest?
I think it's
What was the biggest?
It's not price point, or else the $299 lease would be gobbled up.
So we both worked at Tesla. What was the difference between someone who purchased and someone who didn't? What did they do?
Experienced it. Experience every opportunity that I had, and I was a big proponent of this before this became common practice, was if I can I can convince my manager, hey, this is a qualified buyer, give them the keys, let them take it home. Because I know they take it home, they get their family, their kids are going to love the car, going to drive it around, they're going to go to the grocery store, and they're going to realize, holy crap, this is amazing. This is a great experience. And it was always about that. Like, you don't need somebody looking over each shoulder, some salesperson. Here's this own conventional sales experience. Go take it home and drive it to school and see how you feel with it.
Yeah, if right now it's summer, it's blazing hot outside. One of the most, undervalued.
Yeah, I totally agree with this.
One of the most undervalued is the climate.
Yeah.
Like you like, I cannot tell you, watching TV and hearing about kids dying in cars is the fucking most, is the craziest thing in the world. Like it should not happen. And for people to not know that this feature is available.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the biggest game changer feature.
There is so many plays like that, just game-changing features that people don't even know about,
But they don't do
it's just so
Actually, they don't do direct. And I'll actually say, living both in Texas and Chicago, it's much more pleasurable to go into a hot car during the dead of winter. Thick,
4 cars in the dead of summer. It is totally different. Okay?
it's so much more pleasant. It's like,
These and little things, man, like the fact that I can set cabin overheat. I don't even have to think about it, because one of the things that's one of my own shortcomings, and I've been doing this I've been driving electric vehicles exclusive for 7 years now. I always forget to pre-cool the cabin, but now then I can set cabin overheat potential to cabin overheat to a certain degree. My car does not go above 85 degrees at any given time. So it doesn't matter. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry if the dog was nothing. I don't have to worry about that. I can take that out of my mind.
Right, here's a little trick, by the way. If you have an iPhone 16 and you had the special button, I have that set to my Tesla app, so I press and hold, and I immediately can turn it off.
that's unbelievable.
That's cool. So that type of shit, like you have whoever you're using for marketing, even if they work for you at Tesla right now,
They're not selling those attributes. They're completely underselling
they're
lifestyle attributes.
This is all it should be. Like, I mean, back in the day, we were talking about this with Model X. Like, when Model X first came out, as much as I fucking hate those Falcon Wing doors, I remember pulling up to somebody in a Escalade both of us were getting our babies out of the car seats, and I was standing straight up.
That was the point of it.
Yeah, standing straight up, pulling my baby out of the car seat, and they were looking at me hunched over, like just wrenching on this thing. And they looked at me, they're like, "Oh, that's cool."
Well, that was the point of the Model X Falcon Wing doors, right? Yeah. I remember I used to demonstrate it as I can stand inside the car with the door out, straight. I'm 6'1". Yeah. I can just stand in here.
Could be raining, but nice.
It's the stuff that we know. Like these are the things that you should be just eat your benefit. It's
the details. But in the same way that the ignorance or not knowing for people that have never driven it, it's the total opposite of those who have been around this for 10, 14 years now. This is so common nature for us that we even forget to talk about.
That's the thing, is there's been so many innovations. That's back to my point about Cybertruck. Yeah. There's been so many fucking innovations that have been there that are absolute game changers that nobody else in the space is doing.
No.
And they don't get enough focus because everybody else...
There's none.
There's none. But it's because everybody else is blinded by what's happening on the outside, what's happening on the outside of the vehicle, let alone what's happening on the outside.
Right? Yeah.
Well, sure. Go back to my improved meshes, get off your ass and go try something new, right?
Shit. But that's really where it is. It's like you have the best product. It's like having the best pitcher, but he didn't bring his glove. Like you can't start the guy because he's got house shoes on.
Like it's very double click on the best product piece for just a second. Okay, I've had the pleasure now of experiencing the new Model 3 and the new Model Y, and to me, probably the most disappointing aspect of everything that I've seen take place over the past couple months is just how much people are over it. These are phenomenal products. Like in my mind, the best value for money in the marketplace of products, not cars, of products. When I tell you that a brand new Model Y drives better than my freaking loaded Model X, I am not exaggerating. It is a leap forward in everything. Ride quality, the freaking light bar goes to the music beat, like little details like that they tend to overlook, but it's like, wow, it makes the driving experience that much more incredible and exciting, and it's new.
Well, Lars talked about it last week, actually.
Ulrich?
The VP of engineering over at Tesla. He said what most people don't see is the guts and like the amount of engineering and innovation that's in the guts of the vehicle. And the outside he didn't want to like down fronts, but the reality is the outside is not making seismic changes. And in the car world, the outside's got to look fundamentally different for people to start looking at what's on the inside. I mean, for better or for worse, right? You could be
in enough refreshes.
Yeah, and you could be BMW and do something really bad, and people will still notice.
See what's happening with the Model S and X right now. Right, yeah. We're seeing that play out with the Model S and X. It is, I mean, they're like literally from a margin perspective, their best product. They had the highest margin on those vehicles, and now they're just a footnote in what Tesla's doing. It's just a shame. I mean, it's an absolute shame to me because that could be the gold standard, especially in the premium luxury segment. That could be the gold standard. It is. I mean, we all know that it is. Yeah. It's hard to compete, you know?
Now, granted, right now, I think most people aren't buying just $80,000, $100,000 cars anymore, just generally speaking. I think there's a macroeconomic issue with that.
Well, man, this has been a great time together, right? If you're a new EV owner, if you're an old school EV owner, thanks for stopping by.
And if you like this content, let us know because this may be our one and done. If you don't like it, we're not.
Like and subscribe, engage, comment, tell us how stupid we are, how smart we are, how good looking I am. Whatever you want to say.
That's it.
Think of some beer things that I get fast. Yeah.
You don't like subs? Tell us. If you love it, tell us. Right? And just do something.
But real talk, real people, man. This is what the market needs, is a voice that's just talking about like real life application, real life solutions, not a commercial.
Yeah, and just get up off your ass and go try something new.
That's
fun. Can't do that. Goodness, we're happy to help get off your ass.
That's it. Yeah. Appreciate you guys.